Hi, this is Vinay Modi. In my last video, I talked about the importance of strategy and having one and making it work for you. In today's video, I will talk about the eternal challenge or the conflict or dilemma between smart work and hard work. Because this school of thought or contemporary society is smitten by the idea of smart work. But we've seen people doing hard work and reaping rich dividends. Because hard work essentially is about practicing, giving time and repeating the process and making it work at some point of time. So there is no substitute to hard work. But having said that, in today's competitive environment where we actually are challenged for being a leader or manager or an entrepreneur, ultimately we've got to optimize resources. And that's where we've got to work smart instead of working hard only. And nothing else or nothing better than these management entrance exams where students are judged on the basis of being smart. And the best example of smart work paying rich dividend is instant cricket, T20. Would you ever have believed that conventional cricket would be replaced by, strokes like scoop or let's say switch strokes, wherein somebody would glide the ball towards the wicketkeeper, maybe over the wicketkeeper and hitting the ball for a six. And, they are the people who are stars now. So it does have space, of course, not by substituting hard work. These are the people who work hard as well. So there are certain virtues which can actually work for an MBA aspirant who's aspiring for exams like IIFT, SNAP, ZAT, TISNET and other exams as well. So let's see what can be those nuggets of wisdom in terms of being smart worker. I talk to so many students when they prepare for MBA exams. When exams are approaching or when they are nearing the exam, there is this fear that I see, and fear with respect to few subjects like general knowledge. It's an unending ocean, What can you prepare? What do you leave? It's an unending ocean at the end of the day. And students feel that they are not good enough to clear that section, And I have a very, very clear solution to them that they need to work smart on that. So how do they work for getting better marks in GK? My simple remedy is you need to know what exams you're writing. Let's say you're writing these three exams, IIFT, SNAP and ZAT. And incidentally, last 10 years papers are available very easily online or maybe some other solution. You can find those and then work smart, as in sit with last 4 or 5 years GK papers and then try and club and create domains out of those GK papers. Let me explain how. Let's say last year's GK section in IIFT, or let's say last year's GK section in SNAP exam. Now if there are, let's say 25 questions or let's say 30 questions or X number of questions, group those questions and segregate how many questions on the basis of awards and how many questions on the basis of sports, how many questions on science and technology, how many questions on defense, how many questions on business leaders, how many questions on punchline or catchphrase, how many questions are on economy and its parameters, and then try to gauge a trend for last 5 years. And whatever gives you the optimum domain, you need to really focus on those because there is a chance that that domain will be repeated. And in today's environment where you have all the knowledge available, you can easily do that. For example, I can always look at awards and then start working. Oscar internationally, there are few awards. Nationally, there are awards, bravery awards, let's say entertainment world, science and technology. So one can really be good at those domains and possibly clear that section very easily. But problem is people find it too difficult to manage. They need to understand that they have to give some time to it and then muster courage to analyze it and work in their favor. The same can be true for reading comprehension as well. And the same can be true for maths as well. So that's one smart work which can actually reap rich dividend for students who've not been preparing for GK for long and they're looking at savior at the 11th hour. Second, when I say smart work, students have to really be good at intuitively knowing as to how many minutes they can actually give to one type of question and they can stick to that kind of time limit and easily optimize their approach because that will give them more opportunity to skip questions which might take more time and give priority to questions which can be easily doable. This can be a very important way through which they can exert smart work and work to their advantage. Third, this is oft repeated conventional advice, but I will take this opportunity to actually repeat. Read instructions twice, not just once, twice, because there are catches and there are confusing messages in instructions, and we tend to assume instructions on the basis of how we prepared. So at times we end up committing mistake. So just don't let that happen. That's an investment that you're making. That's smart work. Next, smart work is darkening the oval, or maybe using online method to do it. Some people don't realize that this can be a strategic tool. If you analyze time spent to mark answers, then you see a big proportion can be given to that. Some people don't realize it and they actually leave it at the end. If it's online paper, fine, because there is no other way that you can actually do questions. But if it's on offline paper, then this can be a strategy tool. So try and work towards it. My advice, if it's offline paper, then do it section by section, and maybe last section do it question by question. That can work very well for you. Next, mathematics. Now this is again with reference to students who are scared of maths, or those who are fearful of witnessing a tough or hostile maths section. So what happens, examiner knows this, that there are students who may be fragile and who may be weakling. So examiner actually decides to set the entire paper, or maybe distribute the paper in a way that it looks tough. So initial 5, 6, 7, 8 questions look very tough, and students tend to make an opinion about the entire section on the basis of those first 6 questions. So my advice is, A, flip through those questions before you take a plunge. Maybe you start from the end. Maybe last 10 questions should be your first attempt. Maybe last 15 questions should be your first attempt. This is completely out of the box thinking, but at times it can work magic for people who have certain fear or who have certain notions about it. I have an example of a student who went for writing CAT exam, and maths was supposedly, her Achilles heel. And this time it was more difficult because there were questions based on functions, and these were questions in sets. Now that was something unexpected. So a lot of engineers lost that battle, but then she realized that there is no other way out but to tackle those questions. So what she did, she used options, and then she worked from option and started focusing on questions. And surprisingly, she actually was able to manage 2 big sets out of 5. And there she was, she got a call from IIMs, and IIM Lucknow was her final conversion. So that also happens. If you work smart, sometimes actually fortunes favor you. Having said that, I would say conventional strategy and wisdom, which has been repeated for years, scan, search, select, solve, works very well for students who have this kind of tenacity and patience, because they know that giving more time to the paper will allow them to filter cosmetic changes and focus on the real self. And then they can easily have their way out. I'm sure these are ways through which you can wriggle out the biggest conundrum of these exams and work your way out. I would rather say essay can also be worked smartly. You may not be a conventional writer, but in last 1 month, you can actually find out certain important data based on social dimensions, economical dimensions. You can actually focus on certain phrases and juxtapose them in your writing. Maybe it works well for you. So what are you waiting for? Work smart. Using hard work as a tool, time has come where you work smart and have the last laugh. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about the importance of vocabulary, a wordy world that we are living in, and can we actually have our way out using vocabulary as a tool. Thank you so much.